Well, this two-day visit is really about the two sides solidifying what they say is a strategic partnership that has reached unprecedented levels. So Vladimir Putin met with Xi Jinping behind closed doors in Beijing earlier this morning, and later we're expecting a joint declaration as well as 11 government documents to be signed. Now, occupying the agenda was no doubt two big topics. The first is the war in Ukraine. Now, Vladimir Putin released an op-ed in Chinese state media commending Xi Jinping for his neutral stance on the conflict, saying that China has not worsened the war or further disrupted the global economy as opposed to other countries. He also has said that China has recognized Russia's security concerns. Now, Xi Jinping is just fresh from a trip to Europe last week, and EU officials who he met with have really called on him to urge Putin to end his invasion of Ukraine, and Xi Jinping really has rebuffed that request. But at the same time, China is trying to position itself as a mediator and someone pushing for peace here. Emmanuel Macron has mentioned his desire, for example, for a truce to be called during the Paris Olympics in July, so that may come up. Also, another big topic is the issue of trade. Now, Chinese trade to Russia has become an economic lifeline to Moscow during the Ukraine invasion. Last year, it was worth $240 billion. That's up 60% since pre-war levels. A lot of it is Chinese imports to Russia and cheap oil and gas coming from Russia into China. Now, a lot of those transactions were made in the Chinese yuan, and one of the things that both sides will be working to do is try to find a way that this burgeoning trade does not become impacted by these vast list of Western sanctions against Russia. So no doubt that would have been discussed, as well as ways to increase people-to-people and cultural exchanges between the two sides.
It seems to be, Katrina, an imbalanced relationship, with China providing an economic lifeline for Moscow. What does Beijing get out of this?
Well, for China, it finds itself embroiled in an increasingly tense rivalry with the United States. And Beijing policymakers really don't see this getting better, at least in the short term. So it's very important for China to have a player like Russia, a big military power, in its corner, should there be any conflict down the line. Another big thing is that China is really unhappy with the current global order, which it sees as dominated by the United States. Beijing has said that the US is a bully that doesn't take into account the other systems of other countries. And one of Xi Jinping's big projects has been to subvert that US-led international order. We can see this through China trying to drive a wedge between Europe and the US, through blocs such as the BRICS, and through the Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative. So this project to create a more multipolar world, as China sees it, is one that's very much supported and backed by Russia and Vladimir Putin.